Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I am a director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I am here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will uplift, inspire, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to the alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experiences while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages and share any exciting news with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni. Or find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dr. Lynnda Nadien. Did you know Leo the Lion is the mascot for Nassau Community College? Lions are ruled by Leo and fire. The male lions represent pride, while the female stands for teamwork. Together, we are Lion Tales. Today, I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Janice Metzler, class of 2023. Janice was the valedictorian of the Social Work Department, graduating May 11, 2023. She received an associate in arts degree, and her hobbies are playing golf. However, she is a professional golfer. Her interests include reading and listening to music. And she had some very memorable professors at Nassau, and she will be here to speak about courses and all the favorite things that really led her on her path at Nassau Community College. She is a PGA golf professional for over 30 years, and she teaches people how to play golf. And about 4 years ago, during a difficult time in her life, she decided to go back to school to become a social worker. Today, I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Janice Metzler, class of 2023.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Thank you for being here. So tell us about your decision to attend Nassau Community College.
Had you asked me 5 years ago, had I wanted to go back to college, I would have said definitely not. I didn't think that was ever in the cards for me. But unfortunately, my longtime partner, Ed, passed away from cancer in 2017, and I was devastated by that. I decided to go to seek some help from a bereavement group, and I met a woman there, a chaplain, who was very special, and she helped me deal with my grief. And I went into a group. After about 8 weeks, it was such a change, and I saw that the help that she gave to the rest of the group, I said, I think I want to do something like this. And that's what prompted me to say, okay, if I want to do this, I need to go back to school. I need to go to school. I did not go back. I never went to college. I went to school for golf, but not school for, a degree, associate's degree, whatever, and then a bachelor's. So that was my decision, and I started, I guess it's 3.5 years it took me to do a 2-year degree because I still had to work while going to Nassau.
Yeah. And so the initial school experience when you got to the campus, what was that like as, as an adult coming back?
Returning adult student, It was shock. I have to say that, I was initially nervous about how the other students would treat someone who's older.
Yeah.
But it was really a pleasant surprise. In many of my classes, I was almost like the mother.
Yeah.
They would come to me and they would ask me, did you get this homework assignment? What do we have to do for this? I felt like, the mother. So it was really, it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
I loved coming here to classes.
Yeah.
And, when we had the pandemic and we were stuck at home, I hated that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need that one-on-one or in the classroom setting to really learn.
Yeah. And pre and post pandemic, since you just graduated pretty much, 2023, how many classes were you home for The majority
I would
of it?
say no. I was here for the majority of it.
Oh, good.
I would say we started classes and then we had to move home.
Yeah.
We were already in classes, so then we had to finish them out at home. So I would say just a couple.
Yeah.
Not that many, and then we did the masks and the whole thing, and
And you came back.
Yeah.
And what were some of the classes that really, led you to decide that you definitely wanted a career in social work?
Well, one of my mentor is Dr. Orville Jewett.
Mm-hmm.
He is an amazing professor, doctor. He has a lot of classes in the social work program, and through his classes, it really opened my eyes to what exactly I was getting into in social work. There is a lot to it. It's not just let's be a social worker. But he made it interesting, and he was always willing to help, and he's so very knowledgeable. I mean, I've never met anyone who knows more about social work than he does.
Right.
An amazing professor. And
and there's stressors that come with being a social worker because you're hearing stories about grief, and or even a spouse that's going through treatment for cancer, and you're trying to make sure that you can keep everyone kind of uplifted during that time. And so a lot of social workers say that there's a lot of stress on them.
Yes.
They try not to bring it all home.
Yes. You have to really have self-care.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of self-care. I mean, there's a bunch of different subunits of social work. Who wants to work with children? Who wants to work with adults with drug problem? Who wants to work with the elderly? So there's a lot of subunits in the social work field. I did my internship through Nassau at the JCC in Oceanside.
Oh, okay.
And I was there for 15 weeks, and it was terrific because I have decided that I want to work with the elderly.
Yeah.
The aging and the elderly as a social worker. I always felt, I watched my grandmother, she was in a nursing home, and we always watched out for her. She lived at home for a long time, and then we finally had to put her into a nursing home. And I just feel that seniors are not looked after the way they should be.
Right.
They were here for us when we were growing up. They raised us, and they need and deserve more attention and love than they get now. So that's where I want to work in that.
Yeah, there are sort of two sects of society sectors where you have the elderly and you have children, and we need that to be balanced so that children are taken care of in society, and then the elderly are taken care of, because again, there's sort of like not total discrimination, but there are discriminatory practices against the elderly. Like if you get to a certain age, oh, well, then you can't do this, or well, now you're too old to do that. And I think that's, as I get older, I'm sort of seeing it like in a more obvious fashion. Right. And I think that it's up to you as the individual to decide, when your time is up, or if you feel old, but it's not for someone else to decide that for you. That's a big issue. It has to come from the person. Well,
the JCC in Oceanside, they it's a community center, but they deal with patients that have Parkinson's, dementia, and so it was very eye-opening for me, and I loved it there. They provide so many different programs, and so that kind of solidified for me that yes, I do want to go into this field because the people were just wonderful there, and I met so many of the patients, not patients, clients that were there.
And so how do you seek job opportunities in the field upon graduation? What are the next steps?
The next step is now to go for my bachelor's.
Okay.
So I just have my associates right now. So then I have to go for my bachelor's, and then after the bachelor's, the master's.
Right.
So that I can become a clinical licensed social worker. So after the bachelor's, you can get a job as a social worker, but you won't be able to bill clients, or you're still just
right. No. And now Nassau then was kind of the springboard to all of this, because again, you didn't think, wow, I'm going to get a bachelor's and a master's eventually. You didn't think that was going to
I didn't even
happen.
think I was going to schools. Never mind.
No, yeah. I mean, it's strange how things happen.
Life just happens, and
Yeah.
God has a plan for all of us.
And it's meant to be. I was reading about like God's will or what is meant to be or not. And it's not always what we think. It's a little bit more complicated. It's sort of really coming from within us. Yeah. That we have to understand that and kind of respond to it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we feel a certain way, but we don't know exactly what to do. But you heard the calling, and then it led you here to Nassau.
You make plans, and God laughs.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
Has a plan for you.
It's very funny too.
Yeah. Yes.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Janice Metzler, class of 2023. Now, we're going to talk about working as a pro golfer, a professional golfer. Can you tell us all about what that's been like for the past 30 years?
Wow. I started playing golf when I was 7. And I just took to it. I was always athletic, and my dad, he played a little bit, so he introduced me to it, and I just loved it. And I started playing as a kid, and I just kept practicing and practicing. And then I was in high school, and unfortunately I was bullied in high school, so I didn't like high school. I didn't like school.
Yeah.
Not terribly, but enough that I didn't want to go.
Right, yeah.
And I worked. And from there, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to college, because if I'm going to be the same thing in college, I wish someone would have said college is so much different than high school. Mm-hmm. It's totally different. But I didn't. So instead, I went to work at a golf course. My mother had worked for a company who owned a golf course. And I went and worked at this golf course, and I learned. I worked on the driving range, and I picked up golf balls, and I moved golf carts. And then I said, you know what, I want to do this. So I enrolled in the Professional Golfers Association apprentice program. So I did that 8 years. You need a certain amount of credits to become a golfer, a pro golfer. You have to pass a playing ability test. You have to take tests. You have to do all this stuff. So I did all that, and then I became a member of the PGA. So now I was working at a private country club, and I teach, and you do tournaments, and you put clothes out, and you price clothes, and you sell golf balls. I mean, there's a lot to the golf business besides just teaching golf. So I had to learn all of that. And then, once I did that for, 10 years, something like that, then I became really a teaching professional, where I pretty much taught all day long. Wow. Still did some other work as well, but most of my job was then teaching. So I worked at a club that closed down after 30 years, and I had to switch. It was a private country club, and I switched to now a public golf course, which I love, because it's everybody who comes to this golf course. I teach at the Lido Golf Club. And everybody who comes there to play golf, to learn how to play golf, because there's no fancy, it's a public golf course. It's not a country club per se. You have to come there, there's no clubhouse really. There's no cards and food and all that stuff. So you're coming there really to play golf.
Yeah, what are you looking for in a talented golfer? What they really need to do, like with batting for like baseball, it might be your swing or your stance or keeping your eye on the ball. But when it comes to golf, I think it's sort of a
lot of it is eye-hand coordination.
Yeah,
being athletic certainly does help.
Yeah,
you can teach anybody how to hit a golf ball, but to play the game is different. It's a very difficult game. I've played a lot of sports, and this is by far the hardest game to learn how to play well. Mm-hmm. It's just, you have 14 clubs in your bag, and you have to learn so many different types of shots. But it's a great game, and people who just start, once they hit the ball and they can do it, they get hooked right away. Mm-hmm. Most people who start golf don't quit, because it's a challenging game.
Yeah.
And you can do it at any age. I always say a tennis court is a tennis court wherever you go, but a golf course, There's so many beautiful golf courses all over the country and the world that you can go anywhere.
Yeah. Have
and
you
play
been
golf.
to Scotland?
I have not.
Yeah,
I
because
have not.
I guess that's the origin. The original Scotland is sort of the
St.
inventor
Andrews
of the
and all
game.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what is it with the swing? How do you develop a good swing? Is it stance?
No, it's a lot. You have to. It's a lot of basics that you need to learn. It's grip, it's stance, it's posture, it's swinging the club back, swinging the club through. You got to use your upper and your lower. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Weight shift. I mean, so it takes a while to really get all that. I mean, when I start with someone, in fact, I started with someone who's a professor here at the school, and she's doing great.
Yeah.
I didn't think, she just picked it up that quick.
Yeah.
So there's like a checklist when you're first learning. You have to learn so many things: grip, stance, posture, all of that you have to learn. Once you get all those, then you start to move into a swing. So some people who teach golf first time, they'll hand you a club and they'll try to teach you how to take a full swing. I never do that because you need to learn short, little swings. It's called pitching and chipping.
Mm-hmm.
If you can take a small swing,
Yeah.
you got to learn how to do that first before you can just take the club all the way back and hit it.
Yeah. Is putting separate than actual taking a swing and hitting the ball?
Yes, it's a different kind of club and it's a different grip. So it's a much smaller, compact type of swing.
Yeah.
So that is different.
So are there sort of routine exercises to get your grip and also the way that you're holding the club?
It's just, I always tell my people that I want them to go home and their homework is to sit on the couch and to put their grip on, take it off, put the grip on until they can do it with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
But you have to have the proper grip. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people hold the club so tight, I call it a death grip. They hold it so tight, they can't even move. I mean, how are you going to move when you hold the club? Their hands hurt. And when I start to see the blood in the top of the fingers, I say, okay, could you loosen up a little bit?
That's probably true because they've been talking about, even in baseball, the grip and the swing, that sometimes they're swinging so hard to hit the ball and then they're still missing it.
People don't understand that. And when the harder you swing at the golf ball, the worse it is.
Yeah.
Because the tighter you hold it, the more restricted your whole body is. If you could loosen up and just swing it, it's going to go so much further. But that's counterintuitive. People think you got to hold it tight, swing at it hard, and it goes further.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
So it's interesting that, your athletic ability and talent transferred now to empower you to be a student. Do you think there's a connection there between the way that maybe you study or that you've, became valedictorian of the social work department?
Well, one thing I do, I am like a little bit crazy when it comes to schoolwork. I come home from work, my real job, teaching, and I would study and write because, of course, there's a lot of papers to write in college. Who knew?
Yeah.
I still don't know the difference between MLA and APA.
Oh, yeah.
I still don't, but...
And APA changes every week.
I don't understand
changes.
it all. But I know I took it very seriously. This was not some joke to me and just going to take a couple classes. This was very important to me. So I put all my time into it. I would come home. There was studying for tests when I don't go out. I come home and I do my homework. People
and did you had the competitive edge, don't you? Because
Yes.
We say
Yes.
everyone's like, oh well, you can't win them all, but you do want to.
I do want to, and I would be upset if I didn't get an A. I'd be
Absolutely,
upset.
yeah.
I got upset because only one professor gave me a B+. Everything else was an A, and I was very angry about that.
Yeah, because
So,
you want the A because
I
you
want
worked
the
hard
A.
to get it.
Exactly.
And so, because again, I have a lot of friends who are also, professional athletes, and they talk about when, I always used to say when my son was little, he'd be on the soccer field, but he was a real sore loser and he would cry and run out there and he was so competitive. But they're like, no, those are the kids you want on the team because that's the one that's going to go out and really
Practice
and do that. And my son is actually a professional jazz drummer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I'm talking about the hours of practice still. That he puts forth. I know that competitive edge, that all of that kind of went with him, and now he's 23 years old. And
right.
so,
and I had that when I did the golf
Yeah.
early on. And then, so it did transfer on to the schoolwork and the college.
Yeah, and just your mindset.
Yes. If I can't do it, I mean, when I would talk to my mother, I think I'm going to fail this. Would you stop? You haven't failed the course yet. So I would get all crazy about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd be up to all hours of the night doing all the work.
Yeah. What is the most memorable golf course that you've played on in Nassau County? What's the best one to go to? Or Long Island?
There's a couple of them. I would say Piping Rock, which is in the North Shore.
Yeah.
That's a great golf course. Bethpage, of course, Black.
Yeah.
That's a great golf course.
That's a great one.
There's a lot of them up in Westchester that are beautiful.
Yeah.
Old Oaks, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
We are very blessed to have a lot of golf courses in New York in the metropolitan section.
And, most people know, obviously, Tiger Woods, and we've been seeing the clips of Tiger with his son now. And it's really like exciting to see the son, who's about like 13 or 12.
Yep, something like that.
And he's starting to...
Oh, he's been doing it for a long time. He didn't just start.
Yeah.
Tiger's been working him for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing because he is just a copy of Tiger. He's, his mannerisms and all of it. It's funny to watch.
And there is that, again, the competitive edge. And he's even competing kind of with his dad, and they kind of like laugh a little bit when the kid gets a shot that the dad maybe had gotten.
When they have a tournament, they have a father-son or something like that.
And so now women in golf, how do you feel about, I guess, that, because it really was a man's sport, and you couldn't get the PGA coat, that was something. Yeah, the jacket, the green jacket, all of those things. And so, but now you see a lot of women, professional that are playing and doing all these tournaments the way that Tiger Woods is doing it. So how do you think the future will look for that?
Oh, I think the future is very promising for women golfers. When I first started years ago, it was like, I'm not taking a lesson from a woman. No, I can't do that. And I slowly, I was at that club for 30 years, so they knew me. The men there knew me, and they knew that I could teach. So that was different, and it got better as time went on. But now that I'm at this other course, Lido, I teach almost as many men as I do women and children. Yeah. And it's fine. It seems to have changed the thoughts of if you can teach me how to get better, I don't care who you are. That's kind of the mindset that I see now.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of men.
That's very promising.
Yes, very promising.
Because it's the same thing. Again, if you're studying an instrument, does it matter if your piano teacher is a woman or a man? Or
no,
what?
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Janice Metzler, class of 2023. So now we talked about, being a female kind of in a male-dominated sport. But what is your definition now of like inclusion and equity for everyone working in this field?
In golf?
Yeah, in golf.
I don't know if it's going to be equal.
Right.
I don't think it ever will really be equal.
Yeah.
Because it is dominated still by men, tournament-wise, money, purses, and all of that stuff. The ratings, television. There are obviously women's golf events on TV, but the interest is still more in the men. But I have to say that a lot of men that I teach, they say, I like to watch the women more, because watching a woman swing a golf club is more realistic to their swing. Watching Tiger Woods or Dustin Johnson or someone who swings at it much faster, and they can't relate to that.
Yeah.
A woman, professional golfer, they can relate to, because they can see their swing in in the woman's swing. So I don't think it's going to be equal.
Right, yeah.
I don't. Unfortunately, I wish it was, but I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think just generally, again, things are changing. We're becoming a little bit more open-minded, but then at the same time, things always kind of go back to the way that it was.
And money.
Yeah.
Everything always revolves around money.
Absolutely.
So the purses are much bigger for the men.
And how do you work through, injuries? I mean, we saw that Tiger Woods was injured in the accident, and most of if you look at his body, it's, your hips, your legs, your feet, your arms. It's so much of that. How do they treat?
Well, Tiger, if you look at Tiger when he was young, the length of his backswing, he took that club so far back. And I remember watching and thinking to myself, he's not going to be able to do that forever.
Yeah.
The body just can't do that. And as it turns out, if you look at him now, he does have a lot more injuries. He has had accidents, but you cannot do that to the body. So the golfers of today are so much better trained, and they use the weight. They go to gym. They use that so much more. So they are physically in better condition than, let's say, an Arnold Palmer was in his day.
Yeah.
They didn't have all of the stuff that they have today, all the training equipment and all that. So,
and then what's the key to that? Stretching and physical therapy?
A lot of it is stretching. A lot. I always tell my students, I give them exercises to stretch, because they don't use it when they're first starting. They don't use the muscles that I'm going to have them use when they swing. Right. So they'll tell me, okay, my back hurt, this hurt. I said, well, it's going to get better. They're new muscles. Yeah. We have to create muscle memory in you so that you won't have that pain.
Yeah.
The people on the tour, don't forget, that's their job.
Yeah.
Playing golf is their job. So they're doing it 8, 10, 12 hours every day. They don't just come out there and practice once in a while. That's their job, to be that good. They have to do it every day.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah. I mean, when they say practice makes perfect, I mean, I've seen it in music, I've seen it in art, I've seen it in sports, that it's really the only way.
Only way. And there's so much competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
That if you don't practice, they're going to go right past you.
Yeah, we have, I was reading in Newsday just over the weekend about the golf teams that won, like, the top championships. I don't think every high school has a golf team.
They don't.
But now it's becoming more open to males and female teams.
They didn't have a golf team when I was in high school.
And it's interesting because now it's kind of a big thing. Like badminton is something.
The newest thing is pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball's a really big thing too. Which that looks really fun. I mean, it's kind of
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
I haven't done it yet.
I think I'd be pretty good at that. I would like to do it. I like ping pong and all of those things too. So now, how do you motivate that young athlete when you do see the promise?
Oh, encouragement.
Yeah.
I am very much a big encourager, and I let them. When I have young kids, now I'm saying I have a bunch of kids that I teach now, but I have little ones. You just let them swing.
Yeah.
They can't take direction. Once they get to about 7, 8 years old, maybe you've got a chance. But the ones that have promise, I just try to encourage them as much as I can. I talk to the parents and I tell them, listen, keep them going. Let them keep coming, hitting balls. Don't give them too much direction, because then they lose interest.
Yeah.
They just want to hit.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and they just want to get out there and play sometimes and keep it kind of on.
It's harder to get them out on the golf course to do that, because you really have to have some knowledge of what you're doing when you get onto the golf course. But, yeah.
I would like to thank our guest, Janice Metzler, class of 2023. How can our listeners contact you?
I work at Lido Beach Golf Club, and I work at Merrick Golf Club. They're sister clubs, so you can call and look it up on I don't have.
Yeah, you can call, and if you want to have golf lessons, that would be a great thing.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here today, Janice.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate it. I would like to thank you for being our guest today. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I'm a proud alum. Lion Tales is available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information is online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.